there is a technical glitch. That is the reason all got disconnected, I think. Okay. Hope you all can see my screen also.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. I was just briefing about US, Europe, and Canada market. Hope till the time it was good, I think. After that, once I entered into pharmacovigilance, it got disconnected, I guess. Okay, let me continue with pharmacovigilance. So pharmacovigilance, I briefed you in this slide. So anything that administered, whether it may be a serious or there may be an unexpected adverse experience based on administration of the particular drug. If it is serious, it may be death or life-threatening or inpatient hospitalization is required. If it is serious, it is a very critical. You need to immediately notify to the regulatory body. If it is unexpected also, it's very critical. Something is new has come, it has given a different from the event of greater severity or specificity. So we need to report this adverse event to the regulatory body. For reporting this adverse event, you should know that there are three important criteria that are to be essential. That means who is reporting, which drug he is suspecting, and what is the reaction. That is very important. If these are not there, you don't have to report. If these are very important, then follows the time frame. Any report should be submitted within 15 days. This kind of adverse report should be submitted within 15 days of the calendar of the receipt of the first information. Then in Europe, we need to have a separate form that has been accepted for expedited adverse drug reporting. All those things should be submitted for US and Europe. So in addition to this reporting of this serious within 15 days, there is an additional reporting called adverse drug experience report, that is called periodic adverse drug experience report. It has to be submitted to US FDA, and it is goes for a periodic time of every quarter for an approved ANDA. Then for MHRA and for Health Canada also annually we need to submit. So since I touched base on the US and Europe and Canada, I have given about the periodic reporting of adverse reporting for all these countries from US, UK is MHRA and Canada is Health Canada. We need to give every 3 years. That means every quarterly we need to submit this periodic adverse treatment. And in Europe and Canada, every 6 months. That means post approval, once the product is placed in the market, every 6 months we need to submit the periodic report for a period of 2 years. After that, we have to submit every year. That every year submission to be happen for 2 years, and then subsequently you need to do only after 3 years interval only. For every periodic adverse report, for Europe and Canada works different and US works different. So that's it about the generic development and the launch process, how it comes across in terms of the product manufacturing to the launch. So finally, I would like to say that any drugs or medical devices are among the most stringent regulatory products in the developed world. So in order to ensure that particular product is safe and effective, there are regulatory authorities who ensure that particular product is safe to be consumed. And these regulatory bodies are working for the protection of the public health. This appears activity to be simple, however, its attainment has required the development of extensive and complex regulations. So without that, we can't pursue any product approval. In order to achieve the particular goal, the product whichever you are going to sell should meet the important 5 criteria. That means it should be safe, it should be efficacious, it should solve the purpose, there should be risk-benefit analysis, the benefit should be more than the risk, and finally the quality of the product, there should not be any compromise. All these criteria will be taken as a principle which are to be an objective by any regulatory body prior to giving any approval for your product. This is very critical in such a way that when an assessment is done for a product in terms of its safety and the efficacy and the parameter which is intended to be used, when all such assessment is been done, then you ensure that the quality of the product is consistent from batch to batch. That means there is no change from one particular manufactured product in a one particular manufacturing site from one batch to another batch. So finally, if you see any regulatory body, whatever I just briefed you about the US, whether it is Europe or in Canada, the fundamental principles remains similar. That means they ensure that they control the risk, safety and quality is always maintained in order to enhance the benefit, that is the efficacy and purpose is met, in order to finally ensure that public health is very well protected. So with this principle only, any regulatory body function and then they give an approval wherein the generic or the branded companies sell their product to the different countries. With this, I just complete my discussion points on this topic. I am very well here to answer any questions if you all, and thank you for giving this opportunity and then giving an option to present you in front of you on this particular topic, which definitely would have given a good insight and understanding on this particular subject.
Now, I take this. Thank you so much for the wonderful evening. All of you, please mute your this thing. Okay. So it's a very nice, very clear explanation about the pre-launch work and the post-launch work. And this is
Exactly.
very, very basic understanding. And I thank you for making it more simple and more understandable. And so that people were really very, it was very basic English easy understanding. So the complex made very simple. So thank you so much for the valuable input from your side and your time. And I request the
Yeah.
audience to come up with questions, if any. You can unmute yourself and pop up your questions.
Yeah. I am just reading a couple of chats. It's very useful. Yeah. Okay.
Any questions? Anna, I would request you to add a few more points from my side. Question with this. A few more points
Yeah.
on 505B2, because future India is going to be only 505B2. There is no more going to be 505 B1 and 505J, because it is now becoming more expensive for the pharma industry to invest huge money on NDA filings, and the ANDA is the only option for us to move on. So if you could throw extra light on ANDA
Sure.
with respect to 505B2, I think the people who are already in
Yeah.
PhD perseverance, the faculties will be benefited.
Okay. Good. Fine. I can definitely share my experience and the principles about the 505B2. So 505B2 per se, it is an abridged version of an NDA. That means it is neither an NDA nor an ANDA. It is an abridged version of an NDA, where you are not going to demonstrate an animal talks or clinical study. It will not be a full-blown clinical study. You are going to do an abridged study, or you may be relying on FDA's earlier findings on the clinical safety and efficacy. For example, if there is a new drug which is already established in its particular salt form, yeah, alimimazine is there. For example, I'm just quoting some of the drug which is coming into my mind. Alimimazine is a drug. It is in different form of a salt. Ensure that it is in a tartrate form. So in the tartrate form of the particular drug, it's already in the brand form. That means the brand drug manufacturer has already done all the clinical studies, filed the NDA, got an approval. Now, for example, if you are a generic drug manufacturer, you are going to synthesize same alimimazine tartrate, do the studies, do the bioequivalence and compare with the brand drug and then file an ANDA. That is a 505J. If you want to go for a 505B2, you are not going to do the same alimimazine tartrate. You may go for a different salt. That may be mesylate or any other salt, or it may be hydrochloride or whatever is the salt. But you are not going to do the same safety efficacy as it has been already established on the animal tox studies and other clinical studies by the brand drug on the alimimazine nature of the molecule itself. You may go for a different salt form. With that salt or different polymorphic form or whatever the change, you are ensuring that you have a separate criteria to file an abridged application as a 505B2. What is the advantage? That means you have a innovative part done. You are not completely innovative, however, you are partially innovative in finding a new form that is a salt form. That means it needs a special attention. That's why FDA will give an exclusive approval wherein you will be given an exclusive marketing rate for 3 years on the clinical study that you have performed. The filing fee, there will be a very high filing fee when you are going to file 2 years FDA, a 505B2 application when compared to an ANDA. So when this 505(b)(2) application is submitted, FDA will do the review process, and then they give a 3 years exclusivity. That means during the 3 years, no other person will be allowed to file an application or enter into the US market. That's an advantage of a 505(b)(2) application.
Thank you so much. And I request anybody else to come up with questions. I think faculty, if you are having questions, you can pop up your questions.
I'm just getting a question that very valuable presentation. Which books we may refer to upgrading our knowledge in regulatory affairs? So regulatory affairs is like a ocean. It's vast. It's not one country, one specific area. So there are different books or the journals available. If you want to have an expertise globally, that means you want to have a knowledge across all the markets, and you want to understand the particular generic drug or a biotech drug or a medical device, the regulatory affairs differs. It's not that one regulatory scenario works with one country. It will not be same for a medical device or for a biotech product or a biologicals or biosimilars. So generic drug is different. All these criteria of the drugs are different, and the product whichever you are getting approval for generic drug in one country may not be the same for the other country. So it is very huge, and the generation, the way how it is going on, it keeps on changing. Whatever you might have read currently, that means whatever we have taught, it may not be true after 3 years, after 1-2 years. It is more dynamic, so ever changing. So always you need to be updated yourself in the knowledge of the regulatory, whatever is going on across all the regulatory bodies whenever you are filing this product to these markets. That is a core expertise of a regulatory affairs person as a regulatory professional. However, for students whom they want to upgrade the knowledge or to understand how these generic drugs and all works, there are certain RAPS related publications which I can say. And there is a book called Fundamentals of International Regulatory Affairs. So when you read through these fundamentals of regulatory affairs, you can able to undergo all the process of the regulatory process, whatever is getting approval process or the basic knowledge and the regulations which are to be included as part of the submissions process or the development process, all those things will be given in this Fundamentals of International Regulatory Affairs. There may be International Regulatory Affairs which is available in the Indian edition and also from the international from the Regulatory Affairs Professional Society in the US. So the US book, whichever is there, that is very, very, very good and very informative to have particular knowledge in terms of having registration process across all these markets. Next question, what I am seeing is what is disadvantage of drug repurposing? I'm not clear about this question. Okay, I mean, anybody would like to have any topic, anything related to the subject? Definitely, I just kept this time to brief you on the questions, whichever you can raise it. You can just unmute and then you can ask your question so that I can able to answer.
Mr. Sadiq, there is other few people who are from other colleges also. If they are interested,
Okay.
they can post their questions. I could see somebody else also joined recently in the meeting. So if interested, you can post your questions. So I have one more questions from my side.
Yes,
I think
please.
it will be the question from everybody's angle also. And the current COVID-19, there is a lot of drug testing going on. And as you know, Mahe was given NIV testing a couple of years before, and recently government has stopped its study. MHRD has stopped the funding Nipah virus, which has been scanned and study being done at Manipal. But with respect to COVID-19, which is a totally SARS-CoV, is not new. We already saw MERS and SARS. And now COVID-19, we could see a lot of research popping up everywhere. So every company is now trying to quick launch their own molecule. As we know, the normal launch of a drug cycle is minimum 7 to 12 years with proper regulatory approvals. But this quick
Right.
launch device would, from our perspective,
How it works.
how it works. And my major concern in this quick launch testing, which is happening in the globe, what could be the post marketing efficacies and adverse effect monitoring? And we don't know exactly how the drug is going to affect our system because it's coming on a quick
Right.
launch. So does the medicament going to do really good to our system to kill corona, or does the system is going to get apparently damaged by the new launch? So if you could give your
Okay.
insight
Yeah.
into this, I think people will get a clarity.
There is definitely I can explain. So there is a point called emergency use authorization. So you should know that any principle for a regulatory body undergoes with one of the main criteria of how the benefit outweigh the risk. So when the particular any drug under such a pandemic situation, any drug is getting uh, done in the discovery level or it is proven that is therapeutically effective to treat a pandemic disease across any of the country, the people, regulatory body, whoever is there, they may not give they may not seek more time in terms of giving you the product approvals. They may go for an emergency use authorization. That means the drug is the need of the hour. It has to be given to protect the lives of the people. So there will not be a patent or there will be compulsory licensing. That means if India needs to have some particular drug, they will fast track. They will not ask for all the stability studies data, all those data. They will just ask us to demonstrate your bioequivalence or biology studies and then go ahead for the launch of your particular product. So if you see in Japan, in COVID-19 situation itself, considering there is a company who came up with a product called Favipiravir. The brand name is Avigan. Avigan tablets 400 mg. It was widely used for the treatment of influenza-related disorders. However, this Favipiravir is found to be effective to control. It's not a cure, therapeutic, to control the symptoms of corona. So that is the reason in Japan they filed a patent, and then in Japan the product is eligible and it is already sold. It's very difficult to get the reference product in India. For example, if you want to take the Avigan tablets in India, it's very difficult. It's not an approved product in India, and moreover, it's very difficult to get the product from there to here. However, we in Strides, what we did is we also got into the generic drug development for the particular Favipiravir, that particular generic version of Avigan tablets, and then but we didn't claim that it is meant for the treatment of corona because it is not proven yet. However, off-label use. So based on this information, whatever is there, either it is HCQ or it is azithromycin or it is favipiravir or remdesivir, whatever is the drug which is currently there, any regulatory body is interested to give a quicker approval so that the pandemic situation is in control. So favipiravir is generic version of the favipiravir. Strides had did the study and that did the we are in the process of getting the we got an approval from the Drug Control General of India for doing the bioequivalence studies, clinical studies also. Hope this would have come in the last week public domain news also. So we are in the process of getting the generic drug development, and then we may have a generic favipiravir. We may not say it is cure for the treatment of corona. However, it can control the symptoms linked with this pandemic disease. So like this it works. So regulatory bodies will not be so stringent under EUA. EUA stands for Emergency Use Authorizations.
So how long is the
The different
validity?
process works. There you may not need any lengthy data. You may not give long-term data. So within short term, we can do the clinical study. Without any data, we got the clinical study approval. We got an NOC from the DCA. So it all depends upon how you are good enough to establish that particular APA or a particular formulation. We got the NOC and other things and all. Post completion of the study, this product will be approved in India. In India, if a product is taking 12 months for approval, means it may take only 12 weeks or 3 months or 2 months, they'll give an approval.
What is the time period for the license or the marketing license given to such emergency approval?
It depends from country to country and depends upon the severity of the emergency. That means severity of the pandemic situation.
Pandemic. Okay.
It's not standard.
Even I bothered you with too much of questions because I thought this could be uh, dealt, so that many people are having this question, because we keep telling that the life cycle of a product development is 7 to 12 years, and there are so many companies coming up with new drugs. How it is possible? So this gives a very
Okay.
clear explanatory answer to such question which is there in the general public. And being these students belong to only first year of the course, I think it will be of much use for them to
Very useful one. Very
raise
useful. Yeah,
understand.
exactly.
Yeah. Thank you so much for your
Okay.
valuable time
Yeah.
and
Thank you.
very elaborative and simple, understandable projection of what exactly the drug development is and what is the regulatory body. And the hot cake of today, pharma industry, is only regulatory affairs. So I thank you
That's
once
true.
again on behalf of Savita College of Pharmacy, Savita University, Chennai, for this wonderful evening with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.